Salutations, friends. It is I, said Stevie, and today, as the thumbnail indicates, I am taking a closer look at four awesome US made folders. I've been pretty lucky over the last couple weeks to meet up with some local knife bros, and they were kind enough to let me check out some knives in their collection. These two, the top two, were lent to me by the homie ENG. I was down in Portland a couple weeks back, and he lent me actually like five knives. Those two being the U.S. made ones. Quick beverage check, some coffee, black, just like my soul. Drinking it out of my some dude painting cup. You see Matisfaction there. Said Stevie. I'll spill it. Pocket Metal and Grumpy Grunt. The cups were actually made by Papa and Mama Rhino. But Ian let me check out, if I didn't already say, sorry, backtracking a little bit, the Chris Reeves knives, large Inkosi, and the Oz Machine Roosevelt. And then my local knife bro, who I just met recently, I had been talking to him in the chats for a while, discovered that he's literally like 15 minutes away from me, Steve Cler, who let me check out, he's got a wicked collection. He's the one that lent me in the Herman Knives custom that I did a couple videos back. But he let me check out the Mcnees Knives PM Mac 2 3.5 inch and the SPK Steingraber Precision Knives Lamia. So I've spent a couple of weeks with these. Uh, so the Chris Reeves has not been in pocket, but I have spent some time with it. The Rosie has not really been in pocket, but I've spent some time with it. The Lamia has not really been in pocket, but I've spent some time with it. And the Mac 2 has been in pocket. And I'll get into that a little bit more. But the reason why these have not been in pocket is because these are expensive knives and they don't belong to me. And I really don't want anything happening to them. So let's take a look at the CRK Large Inkosi first. And I should also preface this with these aren't really long-term reviews. These are just my thoughts and opinions on these. Maybe you're new to the folder game and you're looking for some US-made options. I don't have any real details on the performance of the steels long term by any means. I highly recommend you going and checking out some other channels that probably have much more information that I'm going to be able to provide. I'm just going to run down on some quick specs and then kind of my thoughts and opinions on these. The CRK Large Inkosi. This Bad Mamma Jamma is made in the Pacific Northwest here in Idaho. This is a titanium frame lock sporting a 3.6 inch drop point S35 VN hollow ground blade in this stonewashed finish. You can see its thumb studs for deployment. Nice finish to the titanium. It's kind of got that chalky feel to it, which I really like. Similar to how like some of the ProTech aluminum handles are, but this being titanium. Satin hardware. This has a lanyard on it. I guess that's for a lanyard spot there. No backspacer. You're looking at a 4.8 inch handle. As I mentioned, no backspacer. Fairly deep carry, but not really. Spring titanium pocket clip. Actually, so this has been in pocket. I did not like really carry it, but I did slide it in and out just to check it, and it does go in and out of pocket just fine. And then you can see there on the clip side, the Made in Idaho badging. That's the only badging on here outside of the Chris Reeves logo. As I mentioned, this is a frame lock, pretty solid lockup, running on phosphor bronze washers. And this thing, I've heard glass smooth a couple of times, not really understanding what that means. But yes, this feels like it's just gliding on glass. This is extremely, extremely smooth. So this is not really going to be a fidgety type knife. I can definitely thumb flick it, and I can. Well, I didn't that time, but I can middle finger flick this. But this is really more of a slow roll knife. Nice jimping back here on the heel of the blade, and then you do have this crown spine. Ergos wise, I'm not typically into knives with these scalloped cutouts, but I gotta say, for my double XL large hands, or as my homie Sharif Manganas would say, ham fists, this is extremely ergonomically comfortable for me. I get a full 4 on the 4.8 inch handle, pretty large handle. And although there's no choil, I don't need to choke up on this knife. The way this locks into my hand, the jimping is done perfectly. And this knife is extremely comfortable. Extremely comfortable. This is my first time handling a large Inkosi, and I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed by it. This would make a fabulous work knife for sure. Again, this is not going to be a drop sheddy type knife. I'm sure. I don't know what Ian's done to it maintenance wise. I don't know if the phosphor bronze washers could be polished or if this needs a little bit of oil or not, but I don't imagine this being really a fidget type knife. This is just a workhorse of a knife. There are other models out there by CRK. I know there's the Sabenza and the Umnazon, and I'm not really familiar with them. CRK has never really been on my radar until I handled this. And I gotta say, I wouldn't mind picking one of these up to have one in the collection. That being said, these are coming in at, I think this plain Jane model is coming in at $500. So, S35VN on the steel, titanium washers, $500 for some made in Idaho goodness. And I gotta say, eventually, I'm pretty sure that this a CRK will definitely be in making its way into my collection soon. I'd like to check out some other models by them before I make the decision to go with a Inkosi. Next up, a knife that I had checked out previously a while ago. This is the Oz Machine Roosevelt. You are looking at a 2.9 inch drop point blade in Magna Cut, sporting a full flat grind. Titanium scales. This one has, I think, is this the golf putter pattern? All T8 hardware, I believe. Titanium backspacer. Nice 3D milled pocket clip that does actually go in and out of pocket just fine. And then no other badging. Oh, I should say it's kind of hidden, but you see there, right, you see the Oz Machine logo, and this is number 1063. These are dropped in batches in lotteries, and you can always go back and reference the actual lottery for more specs. But yeah, 4.1 inch handle when you are using in the choked up grip. If I'm back here, I don't remember what the specs are, but my pinky falls off. Up here, absolutely locked in. For my double XL hands, as long as I have a 4-inch handle, I'm usually pretty good. Anywhere from 4.5 is my sweet spot for a EDC knife. This is running on ceramic bearings. As if I didn't mention, this is a frame lock as well. Running on bearings, as you've already seen, slot for deployment only. You can middle finger flick that, no problem. You can thumb flick this, no problem. And the action is, it's butter. This thing is absolutely dialed in. It was absolutely centered. As much as I flicked this and messed around with it, it hasn't come off centered. The pivot hasn't walked at all. Ergos is where this really shines, in my opinion. And I said this the first time I checked out a Rosie, which when I first checked one out, I thought it was all hype. I didn't like it. I thought it was going to be dumb. Then I spent some time with it and realized it's a pretty good knife. Lefty EDC had lent me his. But yeah, the ergos are where this really shines. I get like I said, a full 4 in this choked up position. The way they designed the blade and the choil, the handle kind of creates a choil there, and the ergos are just money. I would like to see the jimping pushed forward a little bit, but the jimping is good. And again, just really, really ergonomic, friendly knife for as small as it is. These are made in Indiana, if I'm not mistaken. The price on this basic price, $725. This is. Also, I think. Yep. I can. I bet you I won't be able to do it again. Oh, I did. Yeah, you can front flip this. Not designed to be a front flipper, and it's pretty inconsistent. And it's really rough. It'll start chewing you up. But I have front flipped it a couple times. But $725 for this bad boy. We'll come back to that on price here in a little bit. But again, this is also a knife that I wouldn't mind making its way into my collection at some point. These go for ridiculous prices on the secondary. Next up, a knife that I was not familiar with at all until Steve Cler let me check this out. Now, I had known who Alex Steingraber was through Instagram, never really paid much attention to his knife making. He has been involved in some of the controversial stuff over the last couple months. Which, I don't care about that. He seems like a cool guy. But this dude is making knives out of New York. On his website says everything, and I can't verify it for this as well, but he says 100% of everything about this knife is sourced in the United States. I do know right off the bat he's using tie connector pivots there. I have the same ones on a couple of different knives, but this is a very interesting knife. So you are looking at a SPK Lamia, if I didn't mention that, but you are looking at a 3.5-inch CPM Crewwear blade, and I can't figure out if this is a hollow grind or a flat grind. I think it's a flat grind, but it has, let's see if the camera will pick it up. You can kind of see it. It's got this kind of step milled pattern into the blade, which I really, really dig. Drop point style blade, CPM Crewwear, if I didn't mention that. 4.25 inch on the handle length. titanium backspacer. Pocket clip is good to go. Fits in pocket, no problem. No outside of the SPK logo there. I the crewwear stamp right there. That's very minimal badging, absolutely, on this. This knife is also running on washers. Frame lock, as if I didn't mention, full lockup on this. Damn near full lockup. But easy access to the lock bar. It's pretty tight though. You do got to give it a little bit of thumb pressure to unlock. And then this absolutely is glassy smooth as well. Slot for deployment, got no problem with the middle finger flick. The thumb, not so much. I did it there, but I've had problems with the thumb. But middle finger flicking, no problem. And you can, this one, well, not there. But I was able to, well, not at all now. I wonder why that is. It seemed like I was able to, really shake that shut a little bit better. But, yeah, ergos are money on this one as well. No choil. However, the way this is designed, you got this flat here that you can be back here, and then you can ride up a little bit. No jimping at all. Nice chamfered edges, but not a crown spine. I'm really digging the design on this. It does look a little odd. It seems like there is kind of the way the handle swoops there. It seems like you have way more blade to handle ratio. But then when it's deployed, the blade's deployed, I think it looks fine. But in the closed position, looks a little odd. I don't have any experience with crewwear. I'm not real familiar with this steel. I don't know how it performs. However, this does seem like this would be a pretty solid knife to add to the collection. This is sporting the, God, I forget what they're calling this pattern. But nice micro milling in the pattern. You can order these in a couple of different when his books are open. You can order them in a couple of different configurations, finishes, and I think you can request custom ano on them as well. But starting price on these $600. Not too shabby for what you're getting, I suppose. And again, this is also a knife that I would like to add into the collection eventually. And then last, but certainly not least, the Mcnees Knives PM Mac 2 and 3.5 inch. You are looking at a 3.5 inch MagnaCut blade sporting a nice hollow grind. You can see the Mcnees PM, which I believe stands for Precision Machine, logo on the show side of the blade. Thumb stud for deployment only. I believe this is T8 hardware all around. This is the blue atomic frag pattern titanium handles. This typically does not come with a backspacer. However, you can add backspacers to these, a couple of different flavors. And Steve added a geared, kind of stone-washed titanium backspacer. Pocket clip. Again, a titanium spring pocket clip. These work really well. Not my favorite pocket clips, but it does work extremely well. This has been in and out of pocket a bunch of times. And I believe that there are some deep carry options for these as well. And I think I read somewhere that you can add any hinderer clip. So that means potentially that a Lynch clip would go on there. And then I think MXG has a clip as well. More of the frag pattern there. And then you see here the Magna Cut blade steel marking and made in the USA. Frame lock as well, running on bearings. And this thing is, the action on this is great. You can absolutely middle finger flick that, no problem. A little encouragement, and this thing is hydraulic drop shut, all on its own. You know, it's dialed in perfectly. Thumb flick it, no problem. Ergos, man, I lock into this knife perfectly. And now I like a knife with a choil. I like to be able to ride up. However, again, the way that this is designed, I don't feel like I need to choke up. I feel the way the ergos are on this, this is a 4.1 inch handle, by the way. I think the way the ergos are perfect. I like the deep jimping. Again, you're always going to hear me say I like extended jimping. I would love to see that go forward a little bit more, but definitely this is jimping that works really well. Not a single hot spot, and the ergos are again just money. I love this knife. Out of all, these are all great. I absolutely love the PM Mac 2. This comes in a 3-inch version as well, and I think it even comes in a Tanto version, and then there's an auto as of late. I handled this briefly at Blade Show East, and I think I was just so... It was on the very last day as things were winding down. They were next to the Gillette Knives booth, which I had picked up a Gillette Knives custom. And I just didn't pay much attention to it. And when Steve said, hey, you want to check out the Mcnees Mac 2, I thought it was something different. I don't know what I had in my head, but when he handed me this, I'm like, oh, I was not familiar with this. But I gotta say, I love it. Everything about this knife, I absolutely love. I I mean, I typically want some sort of flipper deployment, whether it's a traditional flipper or a front flipper, but or a slot. I have plenty of thumb stud knives. They're not typically a thumb stud only, is typically not my favorite type of knife. There's just something about this that I absolutely love. And especially in this atomic frag pattern. I just, I don't know what it is about it, but I fell in love with this knife. And to the point that I was raving about it. I made a short about it. I talked to Steve about it, told him how much I love it. These are not readily available. Let me back up a little bit. I didn't talk about the availability. These, you can get them occasionally, lottery only, and then this is only when his books open. And then they do, I believe, small batch drops on these as well, and these will end up being available like DLT Trading, I believe, through his own website. I think Knife Center has some. Knife Joy has one, has some. Currently, this option is sold out. $565, if I didn't mention. So this, of all these, makes it the most affordable. So you got 565. You have 600 here. You have 500, or I'm sorry, I guess the Inkosi is actually the most affordable at 500, and then you have 725. So again, extremely expensive knives. However, I'll get back to the Mcnees and my love of it here in a minute. But there's going to be people that cannot afford these. I totally get that. You think $600 for this knife, or $500 $565 for this knife. It's unattainable for me, right? Well, I'm not all that different. Yes, I have a couple of very expensive folders in my collection. I got a Arius, I got a Evo. Those are $600 plus knives. But I have come to the realization that people have no problem paying $200 for a knife or $150 for a knife. I'm at the point in my collection where I would rather have one $565 knife than three $200 folders. I'm not knocking, overseas OEM versus US OEM. Not saying that, although there is some pride of ownership that comes with getting a US made folder, in my opinion. And at least at my point in collection, in the collecting phase, I like knowing that these knives are made in the United States. To the point of I wanted this so bad. I don't have just $565 that I can just throw at a knife. Like I said, though, I do have a bunch of folders in my collection that I knew I would much rather have this than those. So I sold off the Jaeger M. I'm currently selling. I got like 5 or 6 knives that I'm putting up for sale to fund this. Because Steve, being the cool freaking guy that he is, knowing my love of this, said he'd sell it to me. And so I am going to be acquiring this knife. And as for these, in time, I think I will add these to my collection. Let me see if I can do something with the lighting here real quick. It was super sunny out earlier, and all the rays were coming in, so I was creating a little bit too much light, but I just opened up my garage door a little bit more. But as I mentioned, I'm at the point in my collection where I don't have a lot of U.S. made stuff. I got way more overseas knives, and I would rather spend at this point this type of money on less knives than, again, a lot of $250, $300 ish knives that I don't really get that much enjoyment out. There's two parts of being a knife collector, right? Or being into knives. There are people that just want knives to be tools. Get that? They don't care about fidget factor and looks and all that. They just want a knife that cuts. Totally get that. And then there's knife collectors that also want that, but then they want the cool factor as well. I'm at both. And I'm kind of losing my train of thought here, and I don't want to ramble on too much. But again, I have decided, and I've alluded to it a little bit, that I think I want to start moving to more, not necessarily U.S., but some more higher end, more precision type knives than just your run of the mill, Wees, Riots, Bestex. That's kind of where my focus is going to be in 2023. Is less is more. I'd rather sell off a bunch of stuff that I have in my collection that's just kind of sitting around and pick up. I got 10 knives in my collection that I think I could easily sell off to fund these. In theory, now that sun is back. Damn it. One of these days, I'll get my actual office set up to where I actually have space to film, and then I don't have to worry about that. Being out in my garage kind of sucks sometimes. Anywho, I am definitely rambling at this point, so I don't want to go on too much of a tangent. But I gotta say, these are all great U.S. Made options. The Rosie is definitely one that I would love to own this. It's just for the price point, it seems a little much. You can get an Arius for just as much, equally as hard to acquire. It's just the Arius seems so much more of a knife, and I didn't even bring the Arius out to compare all these. I still think, as far as I'm concerned, the Arius is king of the U.S. folders, king of all folders, really, in my opinion. Not necessarily my favorite knife, but I think the best made knife. The Koenig Arius is still great. But yeah, this has definitely sent me down a path of wanting to get more involved in U.S. Made folders. I'd like to check out some Hinderers. There are even more awesome U.S. companies out there. A lot of smaller ones as well. A lot of boutique brands that I'd like to check out. There are, the brown knives, the RSDs. I think that's what they're called, which I might be checking out here. You might see those come into the channel in a couple days or so. But yeah, again, I just wanted to spotlight these four that I had in the collection. As I mentioned, out of all of them, this one, if you guys can ever get your hands on one of these, I highly recommend it. I think you'll love it. But again, awesome work by Alex Steingraber. Am I saying your name right? I'm sorry if I don't. With the Lamia, great job on this. Again, out of New York. Chris Reeves, obviously. Enough said about Chris Reeves. Very, very nice work there. And then the Rosie, fabulous knife. Just price point is definitely up there. I get it. I'm not going to say it's not justified with what's going into it. But great work coming out of Indiana. So let me know what you guys think. What are your thoughts? What are your opinions? What are some other good U.S. Companies I should be checking out? I know I just did a total blank on. I said, what did I say? Hinderer is the only other big one that comes to mind that I want to check out. Don't have very much experience with Hinderers at all. But that's all I got for you folks today. Hopefully this video was worth your time watching. And if it wasn't, well, I apologize. You shouldn't have watched it then. You should have turned me off right away. If you've made it this far, and maybe I should have said this off the top. However, I'll mention it now. I definitely like the way the channel is heading. It's growing kind of at a natural pace. What I'm finding out is that I need to pay a little bit more attention to analytics and whatnot if I do want to really grow the channel. And one thing you hear people say all the time is don't forget to like and share and all that. And I never really say any of that. But, if you could at least give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, I guess, if you don't like it. But if you watched any amount of this content that I provided for you, giving it a thumbs up would definitely help. I guess that helps YouTube recognize my videos a little bit more, and we'll start recommending them to the masses. But in the meantime, I do appreciate all of you that have checked out the video today, and until the next one, I bid you mofos adeuces.